I stole this diagram from EFT, which is emotionally focused therapy, but it's really not that uncommon. The idea of you have, so like the diagram of argument. If you ever have the chance to watch people have an argument, especially couples, like get your popcorn, get a drink, sit down and watch the show. It's awesome. And you can learn a lot from watching other people fight. So you have bubble A is, we'll say the kid. In this point, you have bubble B is the parent. This line that goes across the middle is the line of consciousness. So below the line is subconscious, above the line is positive conscious thought. So kid does or says something, they're above the line, it's a conscious experience. They do or say something that triggers the process of communication. Whatever they did or says triggers an emotional response, a subconscious experience. You can't stop it from happening in the parent. Oftentimes the parent just blows right on through that line of consciousness and then does or says something, don't talk to me like that or whatever, back, which causes a emotional experience in junior. And what happens is it just keeps going around and around this infinity loop. So in kind of like social work, mental health, if you and I are in a relationship, whatever relationship that is, and we have a fractured relationship, when I give you negative feedback, that's called an attack. You take my attack, we're not in alignment, so you take my attack, escalate it, and give it back to me. I don't like that, so I escalate it and give it back to you. So what happens is this cycle gets faster and faster and faster. And again, there's subconscious experiences that we're not slowing down to understand, like, oh, that actually hurt, or I feel disrespected or whatever. I'm not interested in that. I'm just going super fast. Well, another thing, and they're coming back and forth. And it's like tennis. And you can just watch it. And literally, if you have a chance to watch couples fight, you don't have to hear what they're saying. You can see their physical experience go back and forth. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And parents at SUWS are like, then we're fighting about, I don't even know what we're fighting about anymore. We started talking about this, a half an hour later, we're talking about that, and I don't even understand why. And so what this diagram is important to realize is you don't have any control over what junior says or how they experience their emotions. You have zero control there. You also have zero control here in your emotional experience. You can't stop your emotions from happening. They just do. What you can control is up here. So sometimes you're in it with junior and fighting. The best thing you can do, you want that to end, is just you be the break, which may look like you walking away. Because, when he's saying, you're yelling at me, he wants you to fight about something else and get that fight going again, but not about, smoking weed or whatever the conversation started out to be. He's trying to shift it. And so you can be that break. Okay, I'm not going to yell at you. How can I talk to you in a way that does not appear that I'm yelling at you? Junior. William. Don't call me William. All right. Questions on that? Questions on body language. Body language is huge, and parents muff it all the time. And I get it. Look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you. You ever try that phrase?
Yeah.
Why?
Because then you've kind of think you engage with them.
Oh.
Right?
Works for you, huh?
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's a position of control.
It feels disrespectful when they're not looking at you.
Okay, so you maybe can honor, like, hey, I feel disrespected when you're not looking me in the eyes. Yeah. But really, what do your eyes have to do with hearing? Because you're trying to talk to them, right? And they want them to listen. But what do these have to do with this? Not much. And when we get in that power struggle of look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you, I just entered into a power struggle. I can't win. I literally cannot take your eyes out of your head and make them look at me. I can't do it. It gives you all the power. So sometimes, I'm not going to sit on your phone, but sometimes the idea is sitting next to them. You reference the idea of going for a drive. Sometimes the best position to have hard conversations with people is when they literally cannot look at you. Again, you're invested in them listening. which may not be look me in the eyes, because look me in the eyes is a position of control. I am trying to dominate you. Do what I say. For an oppositional kid, make me. Go ahead and make me. Make me do it. Come on, Dad. Let's fight about it. Be fun.
Yeah.
All right? So be hyper aware of your body language. It's amazing how much that will work. Questions? And I love reading body language. Like, you seem really interested. He seems really annoyed. He sat there with his arms crossed all day long. And body language says so much, right? And we interpret it all the time. We interpret our kids' body language. They're upset with me. They're annoyed. They don't want me around. Are we right? I have no idea. But we do it to ourselves. Your kids are doing the same thing to you. Wow, Mom's really upset with me. When really, Dad was actually worried the first time I missed curfew. Yeah, he got to angry. He got to disrespected. He got to all those things. But his first thing was he was worried about that. This does not show worry. Doesn't.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but, like about the missing curfew thing, like for me, like I don't know, I guess, I always kind of assume everything's gonna be okay. For me, like it is a mad thing that this was a rule, you were allowed to leave. Like I am mad. You didn't come home when you,
Sure.
So, yeah, don't I have a right to express that?
Absolutely, you do.
It's not a, like I thought, it's because my kids are younger, so it's not a driving around or anything like that. It's just like, this is what you were supposed to do and you didn't do it, and I'm mad about that.
Yes.
Like not for any worry reason or maybe some legitimate reason about concern, but just because.
You disrespected me.
Yeah.
I get to set the rules here and you didn't follow the rules and now I feel disrespected. You absolutely have the right to express that.
And I feel safe.
But I want you to do it in a way that's safe. Again, Junior or him or whoever, people you care about are going to do things to disrespect you. Maybe not on purpose, sometimes it is, but bad things happen, And I want you to express it, but I want you to do it in a way that protects the relationship. Instead of, especially coming at the 8 or 11-year-old, like, I'm mad at you. No. It's like, hey, get on their level. I feel really disrespected. I feel really mad. I feel mad about you smacking the crap out of your brother, whatever it is. You can still be, I'm not asking you to not be mad.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you to express it in a way that's safe for them.
But then I also, I know that there's a, it's probably a fluid line, but if you just say, I'm very mad at you for hitting your brother on the butt when he asked you 5 times not to do that, then because as you were saying, body language is a lot of it, and those nonverbal cues, if you're just saying, hey, I'm really mad that you hit your brother on the butt, then they're like, okay, like that's not, hearing that someone says, oh, I'm really mad versus, and I'm not saying that, because I'm not, I don't know, I'm a reformed yeller.
Amen.
After all this stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like if you say, oh, I'm really mad that you did that, then they're like, oh, okay. I might as well have said, we're having pizza for dinner. I'm really mad that you hit your brother, and we're having pizza for dinner, and, that there's just no sort of level of, there's no variance in.
Level of what?
I don't know. Because I think that if the brother says, stop hitting him on my butt, and this one keeps hitting him on his butt, like you're violating his space, he's asking you to stop doing it, like that's a different level of message than what we're having for dinner. And if you're just saying, oh, that really made me mad, I don't know, I feel like maybe they're not getting the severity of stop hitting someone, especially after they've said to stop. I don't know if I'm being.
So I'm curious where you're going to go. So what I'm hearing, is.
I need to say, I told you to stop hitting. Your brother asked you to stop. Why are you still doing it? Stop doing that.
And so getting louder and more
forceful.
More forceful.
Yeah.
What is that?
More intense.
What does that generate for him? Is it? I don't even.
Serious.
Okay, so you want to generate a sense of seriousness.
Like seriously, stop hitting your brother.
Like I am serious right now.
Right.
Not I'm going to create fear in you.
Yeah, it's like stop doing stupid stuff.
Okay, Hallie, come here. Come here. No, come here. Come here. So I've asked you several times and I feel really frustrated about you hitting your brother. I feel mad about you hitting your brother when he's asked you. I'm asking you to please stop.
We'll try it.
So there's a whole lot of seriousness right
Yeah,
there.
and we're over
and
here.
so what I did is I controlled the situation. Not so much my voice, not so much getting, I was, unfortunately, I was in your face. I shouldn't have done that. But it's like I can create a whole situation that presents seriousness. And that's what I'm after. I love that you're trying to create this sense of seriousness for who are we talking about? What's the kid's name?
Alec was hitting Ward.
Alec. So we're trying to create a sense of seriousness with Alec. And I can do that a whole lot without getting really big or really loud. I can create this sense of seriousness. And it's not about intimidating him. But I am going to create seriousness. So please manipulate the situation. Hey, come over here and talk to me. I want you to have a seat and I'll get on your level. We're going to talk like this. So I can do all kinds of things without getting loud. So I love that you want to create seriousness. Just don't think you getting louder or bigger is really going to get you serious. That's going to get you scared.
I don't think my kids, like, I think it's just white noise to them. Like, I don't think they're scared.
Okay.
Because, like, they're always yelling and they're not.
And the white noise is a perfect comment. So kids that grow up in a household of yellers, it does become white noise. It stops intimidating me and it stops actually me sensing that you're seriousness because I'm so used to it at this point.
Well, for us,
I know I'm actually in control.
put on your shoes, put on your shoes, put on your shoes, put on your shoes. Like, you know, it's not a punishment thing. It's more of a just listen to me because they're so involved. And maybe they're spoiled. Maybe that's part of it.
But that's a great one. Put on your shoes. Put on your shoes. Put on your shoes.
Yeah.
Would you just put on your shoes?
Yeah. So it's
Then
not
it's
about
like,
intimidating,
huh.
but it's about, oh my God, listen.
And really what you want is them to listen and put on their shoes.
And I don't
You
wanna have
might
to go
get,
up and
yeah,
go over to
you
them
might
and
get a
say,
better response.
"Put on your shoes."
Like, hey, buddy, I've asked you twice to put on your shoes. I would like you to put on your shoes. You might be more likely to get him to put on his shoes at that point than doing your thing. I asked you for the 14th time to put on your shoes. There's space here. It's easy for me not, even though you're loud, it's still easy for me to not actually do what you want.
Very easy.
So yeah, it's a pain in your butt because you've got to stop doing whatever you're doing. But if your true intention is to put on your shoes and that's what you're invested in, you're better off stopping doing whatever you're doing instead of yelling across the room and coming over and be like, hey, Alec, I'm really frustrated about having to ask you 3 times to put on your shoes. Would you please put on your shoes?
Yeah.
Thanks.
That does work. That works with my teenage boy. And you know what, Reno, I've asked you several times, so it's starting to get, I don't know why you're not doing it, but you should be doing it. And he'll go do it.
And again, your desire to create seriousness is awesome. And just put on your shoe, yelling from over here, me coming over to you creates a huge sense of seriousness. And again, your tone is level. You may choose to make the eye contact depending on the kid, you may not.
So for me, the putting on the shoes is different though from stop hitting your brother on the butt. Like for me, the put on your shoes is a frustration. Like,
Sure.
Come on, like you gotta go. Whereas the stop hitting on the butt because you're just being a pain. And
Which is still frustrating for you.
but for me, that's a little more serious. Like you know.
So
there's
again,
different levels.
but you
Shoes
can,
is more like what we're having for dinner. But so like I don't think anyone's intimidated or and I mean that's not my goal, and I don't think they care.
right. But again, you can create that sense of seriousness, especially when it's like, Alec, come over here for a second. You know, again, asking him to come over, he's in control at that point. He can choose to follow you or he can choose not to. So there is an element he needs to be invested. But if he shows you that investment because he walks over to wherever and you sit down with him, that is absolutely going to create that sense of seriousness that you want because that's a teaching opportunity that he's still open to. As soon as you start yelling, that level, that the opportunity to teach is not going to be there because he's going to go into self-preservation mode where it's creating white noise. It's like whatever mom's about to say, like I'm just done.
Yeah, and nothing's gonna
Like,
happen.
bong,
Like,
yeah.
She's gonna tell me 6 more times. So
Yep.
I'll do it when I'm ready.
Yep. Nope. So I love that you want to create seriousness. Please create seriousness, but do it in ways that may be different than what you're used to. Yelling does not create seriousness. Yelling just is like literally it's a switch. Like, are you done? Because you're really driving me crazy right now. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, you're using dumpster rules, roadhouse rules.
Having never been a bouncer in my life, I'll take your word for it.
No, but you saw the movie Roadhouse, right?
Yeah, man, Patrick Swayze. Boy can
Greatest
dance.
movies ever, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
No, but, you know, whenever there's a altercation, you separate the person out so he doesn't have to stand up or what,
Yeah.
talk in front of somebody.
Exactly.
Just pull them off to the side. You know, I don't want to ruin our nights.
Hmm.
I assure you that we've got enough guys to make you go to our will. Just, I want you to make the choice,
Mhm.
you know, to leave quietly.
And again, it's understanding control. I can't make you stop hitting your brother. I can't do that. However, I can influence your choice to whether or not you hit your brother. And again, these are just 2, 3 simple things. We'll get into even more stuff that will hopefully elicit the outcomes that we want. Because we do. We want him to stop hitting his brother. That's the outcome we want. So we got other things we can do. Let's talk about something there. There was a task in my little game, right? Achieve the task. Get the stick to the floor. Ultimately, when I asked, were you successful or not, I don't think anybody said, yeah, we got the task done. All right, you did. So you're super invested in the task. What were you not as focused on? The relationship. How are we going along? I think maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, but the idea of like, hey, if we took,
We got the what, but not the how.
yeah.
The issue. That was my issue.
So how does that look at home? Go to school. Clean up your room. Don't do drugs. Don't smack your little brother on the butt. Whatever it is, task focused. And you spend a whole lot of your times pre-SUWS hyper focused on tasks. Makes sense. It's what you're trained to do as parents. However, how's it working out for you? I'm not trying to be like snotty, but it's a challenge, right? So in your time, in your spectrum of time, you spend probably this much amount of time focused on tasks. And you're recognizing over and over and over how little control you have over your teenagers. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Just for one time, would you please listen to me, please? Just go to school, kid. Why did you get kicked out again? Like, come on. And it's over and over and over, and you feel like you're banging your head into a wall because you're hyper-focused on the task. And so I am asking you, so this little amount of space is where the relationship is. And I get that I'm asking you to flip it. I'm asking, after my class, I want this to be the relationship. This amount of time. 80% of your focus to be focused on relationship. Because what you're finding is with little relationship and a whole lot of task management, you're not going to get the outcome you want. You just won't. You will not get the outcome you want. So if you can flip it and focus on the relationship first, you'll find that the tasks actually start to work. You start to get the results you want, but you're hyper-focusing on this first. And it's foreign. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's sometimes going to feel like, why is it taking so long? It is a slow process. I get that. I understand that. And maybe feels unusual. I oftentimes have parents like by the end of the 2 days, they're really struggling. It's like, I just don't know what to do. It's the FAB statement. It's the listening. It's the understanding of your body position. It's the stuff we're going to talk about for the afternoon. It's that sort of stuff that hyper-focus in. So then they're like, I just want to give the consequence. It's like the consequence isn't going to work unless you have the relationship. The problem-solving exercises that you're trying to teach Junior aren't going to work unless you have the relationship. You gotta go after the relationship first. Fair? So in my little exercise, do I really care if you get the stick to the ground? No, I don't. But I'm always entertained to see how much talking happens and see if anybody wants to slow down and listen.